I blame Grace Kelly, you know. Yes, I do. Oh, absolutely. She started something of a phenomenon, didn't she, in Hollywood way back in the 50s? People marrying princes and going off thinking they're royalty. Who do they think they are? Or perhaps it could have even been Wallis Simpson way back in the late 1930s, who some say felt she was trapped when she'd obviously not got what she wanted as part of the British monarchy. And if you look at the up-to-date level, of course, we have Meghan and Harry who've come up with their own plot to make sure that they basically get some level of what they're looking for. What's fascinating to note, though, I find, is this. Over in Hollywood, forget Grace Kelly, there could have been another royal princess, a superstar of the making who was an incredibly beautiful woman of her time. We're talking, of course, about the Hollywood legend that is, and many now people would think who, but she remained an incredible beauty throughout her life. Gene Tierney. As ever, let me explain. Hi, good morning. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today. As ever, I wanted to share with you this lovely piece of nostalgia because Gene Tierney, you know, was, I mean, let's be honest, ladies, a beautiful woman in the time when there's no filters, no fake surgeries, that sort of stuff. She just photographed well. Mogul, you know, Louis B. Mayer, basically said he didn't need anything else. He didn't really care whether he could walk, act, fence, sing, dance. All of those things could be put together inside the supreme level of MGM masterclass. All he required was a good face. And let's be honest, he picked some brilliant faces in his time, didn't he? You know, Hedy Lamarr, Lana Turner, Joan Crawford. Gene Tierney, though, was a 20th century Fox star and was a very beautiful lady, starring in big movies, of course, like The Ghost of Mrs. Muir and Heaven Can Wait. Now, by the 1950s, as everybody was, she was free of the shackles of her studio contract. Normally about 7 years, people got fed up of you know, the studios didn't want to pay you any more money, and then they moved on and found new faces, as Norma Desmond said, in the dark. So Gene Tierney found herself literally over here in the United Kingdom in 1952. Now, I met a lady who was in this movie with her. You will know her instantly, Thora Hird. Dame Thora Hird, and she of course played Edie in the long-running sitcom Last of the Summer Wine and did so many things throughout her career. I was lucky enough to meet Thora on many different occasions, but on this particular occasion it was at the Thing where they'd actually made the movie, Pinewood Studios. Yeah, incredible when you think. Now what's interesting here, what I find interesting anyways, Gene Tierney, you see, as I say, could have been very similar to another royal princess that we spoke about recently, the beautiful Rita Hayworth, Rita of Gilda fame alongside Glenn Ford, who then went on to marry Prince Ali Khan and had a beautiful daughter, Princess Yasmin. Yeah. Now, when you think about it, you know, that was preempting, wasn't it? You know, Grace Kelly marrying, of course, into the Monaco dynasty. But Gene Tierney also had her eye on a prince, and he came a-visiting to the Savoy. The movie was an incredible sort of, you know, now the movie was basically just a run-of-the-mill brick movie of the time, a personal affair, co-starring Leo Genn, and of course had in supporting roles Thora Hird. Now, what shocked Thora, as she told me, was this, because Gene kept saying that she was engaged to a prince, and of course, you know, being Hollywood, she didn't necessarily think this was anything untoward. Turns out, though, that actually the prince she was engaged to, also Gene said, was none other than Rita's ex-squeeze, Prince Ali Khan. He seemed to have a parchment, of course, for, shall we say, Hollywood princesses. Now, it all was going incredibly well until one night, apparently he broke it off with Gene at the Savoy Hotel, basically saying, you know, he couldn't marry because his father didn't want him to marry another Hollywood starlet. She apparently went potty, naturally, as you can imagine, and the whole thing disappeared into the ether. According to Dame Thora, though, that basically, you know, she never truly got over this rejection, and it made it hard to finish a lot of the movie. Of course, the fan magazines still kept printing the stories because she didn't want it to stop. She felt at some point she may be able to win him back, but she never could. And apparently, according to Thora, that really was the rot that set in for the rest of her life. She felt she could not really get going into her own life because she was always being hailed as a beautiful woman, but rejected by so many people that apparently she had the hots for. Proof, of course, though, that not everybody who goes to Hollywood ends up a princess. And more importantly, not everybody who goes to Hollywood ends up being happy. But it's fascinating to get these sideline stories from people who were literally right there in the moment, acting alongside them. I'm sure you'll agree. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.